For the first time in weeks, the sun streamed through the tattered curtains, casting an amber glow over the once shared bedroom. Helen gazed at the dust motes dancing in the air, her heart heavy with the weight of unspoken words. "James," she whispered, her voice barely audible. She traced the outline of the empty pillow next to her, the phantom scent of his aftershave lingering. In the kitchen, she found him, hunched over a cup of coffee, his hands trembling like leaves in the wind. He lifted his gaze, his eyes red-rimmed and weary, a shadow of the man she had fallen in love with. "Helen," he murmured, the sound of her name so foreign on his tongue, yet the ache it carried was unmistakable. The silence between them stretched, a chasm wider than the Grand Canyon. They were two strangers in their own home, bound by the memories of a love turned sour. "Do you remember our first date?" Helen asked, her voice quivering with the effort to keep it steady. "You wore that ridiculous Hawaiian shirt and tried to impress me with your dance moves." A ghost of a smile flickered across James's face, as if the very thought of that night was both a balm and a sting. "I do," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "I was so nervous." The memory hung in the air, suspended like the dust motes in the morning light. It was a moment of connection in a sea of dissonance, a reminder of the love that had once bloomed between them. Helen took a deep breath, her heart thundering in her chest. "I want to forgive you, James," she said, her voice breaking on the final word. "I want us to find our way back to each other." James's eyes filled with tears, his hands trembling more violently now. "I don't know if I deserve your forgiveness," he admitted, his voice cracking. "I hurt you so deeply." "It's true," she said, her own tears now flowing freely. "You did. But love isn't about perfection. It's about weathering the storms together, learning to grow and heal, even when it feels impossible." James reached across the table, his hand shaking as he extended it to Helen. She hesitated for a moment, staring at his outstretched hand as if it were a lifeline. And perhaps it was. Slowly, she reached out, their fingers intertwining like the roots of an ancient oak. The warmth of his touch sent shivers up her spine, and for the first time in weeks, hope flickered in the hollows of her heart. "Let's start anew, Helen," James said, his voice filled with a raw vulnerability. "I'll spend the rest of my life proving to you that I'm worthy of your love." Helen's tears spilled over, her grip on his hand tightening as she nodded. "I want that, James," she whispered. "I want to believe in us again." And so they sat, their hands clasped together like the final knot in a frayed rope, the silence between them no longer a chasm but a bridge. It was a fragile connection, one that could easily snap under the weight of their shared pain, but it was a start. As the sun continued to rise, bathing the room in a golden hue, Helen and James embarked on a new journey, one of forgiveness, healing, and love. It would be a winding path, filled with twists and turns, but together, they would face whatever obstacles lay ahead, proving that love could indeed conquer all.